of us have noted, even outside of Spain, as far as the west coast of the United States, we've noticed with interest the efforts here to criminally prosecute your Catholic bishop. His crime, well, it seems that he had the audacity to deliver a homily from the Bible during Good Friday Mass extolling the virtues of the sinless life. All seemed just fine until we can have a drum roll here. He included homosexual behavior as one of the sins to be avoided. This brought out the ever-predictable torches-in-hand witch hunters, promoting above all else the notion that any and all criticism of homosexual behavior must be harshly stamped out, and those uttering such blasphemies must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. The idea to use the force of law to ban politically incorrect ideas and censor the words that shape them, of course, is nothing new. We need glance no further than our old friend George Orwell's prophetic look into the future, 1984. Recall that in Orwell's book, Big Brother sought to control not only the thoughts, but all language used to form thoughts. In the novel, Big Brother creates the language of newspeak, described as being the only language in the world whose vocabulary gets smaller every year. In a separate essay, Orwell explained that newspeak is mostly based on English, but has a greatly reduced and simplified vocabulary and grammar. In the book, this suits the totalitarian regime of the party, whose aim is to make any alternative thinking a thought crime, or in the language of newspeak, a crime think. The language of newspeak removes any words or possible word constructs which describe the ideas of independent thinking, disagreement, or unapproved values. The underlying intent of newspeak, of course, is that if something can't be said because the words have been criminalized, banned, or no longer exist, then it is hugely more difficult to think it. As we consider the bishop and the hate speech laws and crime and thought crimes, there are many, many lessons we can take from Orwell. We know, of course, that law itself represents society's standard of conduct, defining acceptable from unacceptable behavior. The end goal of any law is the elimination of certain specified criminal behavior. If this is the case, and we know that it is, what are we to make of a law that bans the mere utterance of certain words? Indeed, what are we to make of a law when its real objective is to ban certain dangerous ideas? It certainly appears that the growing popularity and use of hate speech laws, and we're going to talk about that with the other speakers as well, is much like the creation of a new and improved language, such as newspeak, where the dictionary does continuously shrink rather than grow. For those comfortable with a shrinking rather than a growing dictionary, the ever-expanding use of hate speech laws is no cause for alarm. Well, let's pose a few questions while we're talking about them. Having opened the Pandora's box of hate speech laws, and in light of the endless supply of unwanted, stupid, and obnoxious ideas and speech, why not expand these laws to eliminate any speech the government deems bad for society? Having legitimized the banning of certain dangerous or hurtful words, where do we stop? Is there any principled stopping point except one based upon the discretion or the whim of the state? Given the quality of certain popularly elected officials in recent years, do we really have confidence that these people have the requisite wisdom and discipline to govern our speech? In recent years, in the United States, we've elected a professional television wrestler as a state governor, and a professional comedian as a United States senator, and I could go on. Orwell once famously said, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. This sentence, I think, sums up the essence of free speech in a truly free society. He and others believe that without the freedom to offend, free speech and free thoughts can't coexist. Ideas are indeed sometimes dangerous things, especially ideas that seek to challenge or even change the current status quo or existing orthodoxy. Indeed, is there really any point in having certain protections for freedom of speech if there's only the freedom to express politically correct ideas and opinions? Doesn't free speech suggest, at a minimum, that persons can express ideas that are challenging and disturbing to some? Now, the freedom to offend can propagate stupid and irrational ideas, but the freedom to speak freely is the only means available to fight tyranny, or extremist fascism, or communism, or to overturn foolish but widely accepted dogma. Without truly free speech, including the freedom to cause discomfort, or even offense to some, are we truly free, or are we on a slippery slope headed towards the world described in Orwell's book? And what does freedom look like that protects only the expression of politically correct views? That was the world of Joseph Stalin. It was the world of North Korea's Kim Jong-il. And is today the reality in several fundamentalist Muslim nations where the expression of certain politically incorrect ideas can get you killed. And the punishing of speech and expression of certain offensive ideas is a classic slippery slope. It starts so disarmingly with baby steps, then gradually gains speed, and in time gives birth to a society where free speech is no longer free. If people whisper the words they believe are true for fear of punishment or retaliation. If hate speech laws, real hate speech laws, and we're seeing the beginning of them not only in Spain but elsewhere, if they'd been on the books in Nazi Germany, it would have made any criticism of Hitler and the Nazis a crime. If nothing else, the efforts in Spain to bring criminal charges, well-publicized efforts to bring charges against a sitting Catholic bishop doing nothing more than preaching traditional Christian doctrine illustrates that we may be closer to Orwell's 1984 than most realize. Now, forgive me for my journey into literary metaphors and a little bit of hyperbole, but I do think that we need to think about the logical consequence of these kinds of laws and where it leads once we legitimize the beginnings of banning words that cause some people offense. Thank you.